All right. Still seeing a few people filing in here. Thanks again for joining us. We'll just wait one more minute and then we'll get started. All right. I think we can get going. For any that are coming in late, we are going to be providing this as a recording after anyways, so you can have a copy of it. Awesome. So first off, thank you everyone for taking the time out of your day. If you've done these before, then you know kind of what to expect. If not, then we appreciate you joining. With the launch of Ballot and its popularity so far, we've been hosting an educational series of webinars aimed at providing insight into some of the most common types of community-associated related voting scenarios. And today's session is all about secret ballots or smoke and mirrors, because in the world of HOA and condo voting, things aren't always what they seem. We're going to pull back the curtain on digital voting privacy and show you what's really happening behind the scenes in your community voting process. The first half of the presentation will be mostly educational, and we are going to tie things in with a demonstration towards the end. This is a webinar, so your mics will be muted for the duration, but we have enabled the chat function, the Q&A function, so feel free to drop any questions there, and we will be circling back at the end to answer those. Also, during the presentation, we will have a few polls, and we do appreciate your participation in those, as it does help us to continue to kind of enhance and refine our product moving forward. So before I jump in, a little bit about the company. So for any who are unfamiliar with Ballot, our vision is to help organizations make the transition to e-voting effortlessly through our simple and secure online voting platform. Our platform is one of the only ones that offer truly secret ballots, and we'll explain what that is and what that's all about during this webinar. We were founded in 2024, but we're also partnered with Polera Software, which is a well-known association management software and has been in the industry for close to 16 years. And we're also a member of CAI, ECHO California, and CACM in California as well, and a number of other industry-specific organizations. A little about me. My name is Shay Graham, and I've been in the HOA and property management industry for over 8 years, and I've onboarded clients with over 90 plus communities. I've worked closely with many associations that have recently conducted their elections with Ballot and helped their communities achieve quorum. Before this, I worked with Fidelity Investments for a number of years, and it also happens that our CEO and our lead developer were also with Fidelity for over 10 years prior. So we do kind of bring an enterprise level mentality to everything that we do here. So, but that's enough about me. Here's the agenda for today. We'll start with the illusion, what most communities think a secret ballot is. Then we'll look at the reality of how platforms still link resident names to a vote in the back end. And finally, we'll reveal what a truly secret ballot looks like in practice and go over a demo of how it functions in Ballot. So let's talk about that illusion. Most communities have a certain image in their head when they hear the term secret ballot. But real quick, before I explain further, I do just kind of want to get an understanding and do a quick poll, if you'd be so kind. When a homeowner asks you, is my vote secret, how confident are you in your answer to them? And I just want to give everybody a minute here. I'm going to open up a quick poll, and we'd love your feedback on that. All right, awesome. Seeing some answers coming through. We're going to give everybody about 15 to 20 more seconds. All right. Thank you so much for your participation. Again, this helps us to kind of drive the future of our product and understanding what people's needs are. Any last minute votes coming in? All right. It looks like some people said that they were pretty confident, but there's definitely a few that mentioned being either not very confident or somewhat confident, but having some doubts. So it is good to know that, as I mentioned, for our future development of the product. So what is a secret ballot? The reason why many of us feel that doubt is because the definition of secret ballots is very specific. A ballot that is truly secret means that even administrators running the election and even the software provider, yes, that includes us, cannot link a vote back to the resident. Not today, not ever. And in some states, such as Florida and California, this isn't just a nice to have, it's part of the community voting laws. For example, with the Davis-Sterling Act in California, which as of 2025 has just allowed communities to start voting online, they require strict procedures to protect resident voter identity. So let's talk about when a secret ballot isn't just a nice to have. It's required in some states and also in governing documents of some communities. There are a few common scenarios where secret ballots may be required. Board elections, removing board members, increasing dues, amending governing documents, things such as these. These are the votes that directly impact residents' wallets and who's running for their community. So getting the process right really does matter. If you're in Florida, the law requires secret ballots for board elections and third-party eligibility verification. In California, the Davis-Sterling Act mandates secret ballots for all board elections with an independent inspector as well. And even if your state doesn't have a specific law, your CC&Rs and bylaws may impose additional requirements on top of that. It's always important to check both your state laws and your governing documents before your next election, and when in doubt, confirm with your association's attorney. There's a common misconception that votes hidden from the interface are the same as a secret ballot, which is not true, and we'll explain why. So hidden means that the name of the voter isn't listed in the final results, but the link still exists in the database. An admin of the system, a subpoena, or a software admin themselves could still see how a resident voted. Truly secret ballots means the identity is permanently disconnected the moment the vote is cast. There's no back-end magic in the software that can reveal who voted for what, and that is what offers your residents true privacy. Now that you know the difference between hidden and secret ballots, why does this distinction matter to you? First, it's about supporting compliance with your applicable laws and governing documents. Non-compliance with applicable laws can invalidate the election and result in a second call or another election. Second, it's about building community trust. Sometimes voting during board elections or on different measures can be high stakes, and residents may feel pressure to vote a certain way or be concerned about retaliation if others know how they voted. Truly secret ballots help to remove that pressure, so residents feel more comfortable voting. It ensures their voice is heard without compromising their privacy. Finally, board protection. It shields boards from accusations or questions about whether they can see residents' votes. And now that you understand why secret ballots matter, let's look at how communities that are using standard platforms handle those. So some community boards or standard voting platforms often use workarounds. Oftentimes, residents are required to sign a statement waiving their right to anonymity when they cast their ballot. This creates a voting consent illusion where it feels like it's compliant, but it doesn't actually make their ballot secret. The second way is that some platforms still have a hidden link in their user interface that connects a resident's identity to their choice in the database. So even if it appears on the voting summaries or reports that a resident's vote is private, an election admin or a software admin could still see who voted for what on the back end. Now, there's a third approach that doesn't get discussed enough. Some platforms give residents what's called a secret key to cast their vote, which does disconnect the voter from their choice. And on the surface, that does sound great. But here's the trade-off that nobody seems to want to mention up front. when you can't see who's voted and who hasn't, you lose the ability to send reminders to residents who haven't participated yet. So in essence, you're blasting the same please vote message to the entire community, including people who already did vote, which is inefficient and can actually frustrate your most engaged residents. So while the intent is good, it protects privacy at the cost of participation. And we've already seen how much participation matters. And so this brings us to our next poll. I am curious your experience on the ground. Has your community ever challenged a vote, or has a homeowner ever questioned whether their ballot was truly secret? Just want to give everybody a moment to weigh in on this. I'm going to open up the polls again. And again, we appreciate everybody's participation in here. It is completely understandable why this is such a frequent topic of conversation for managers and boards. It can be tough when you want to prove that, quote unquote, absolute yes regarding privacy, but might not have the technical proof sitting in front of you. All right, we'll give everybody another few seconds on the poll. Thank you again for your participation. It does help us greatly. Great. It looks like a lot of people said not yet, but I can see it becoming an issue. So it sounds like maybe not something that's been thought about a lot, but since we're mentioning it, of course, is being thought about. And a few people mentioning that they don't think it will. So, certainly you never know until it happens. So, but again, we do appreciate everybody's participation in that. So the question becomes, how do we fix this? How do we build trust with residents? And so here's what secret ballots look like in practice. The system confirms the type of occupant, so board member, owner, tenant, that kind of thing, and if they're eligible to vote based on the settings. A unique voting link through the ballot invite is sent to the resident. So it is unique to each person, each resident. The moment the resident submits the vote, the system erases the link between the voter and who or what they voted for. The system then automatically tallies the votes that came in, which are not connected to any person. Even the platform itself shouldn't be able to connect who voted for what. And this is what makes Ballotbliss's truly secret ballot so unique. We are one of the only platforms in the industry that fully separates voter identity from choices. Whether it's an election, a survey, or a budget vote, it's impossible to trace back who voted for what in our system, and that instills trust in the process for your residents and creates peace of mind for boards. In a moment, I'm going to show you how truly secret ballots work in Ballotbliss and how you can protect your community's election at every stage. You'll set up your secret ballot configurations and send voters a unique link to cast their vote. As the election progresses, you can send targeted reminders to only those who haven't voted yet without having to sort through ballots yourself. Once the election concludes, you can confidently share results with the community without revealing individual resident choices while still protecting the integrity of your results. And I'm just going to hop over real quick to our demo community and show you how that works. So here's our fictitious community we use for all of our demonstrations, Cherry Hill. I'm in the ballot administrator screen, so this would be presumably what the admin of the ballot would be seeing, whoever's doing that part. And below I have some different examples of various ballots. What we're going to focus on is a secret example. And here you can see I have actually a secret weighted ballot. We do support that. And some things to note, in this case, all of our ballots are locked or sealed up until the point that the administrator does that. And we do track the unsealing of the ballot in an administrative audit trail for transparency purposes for you. To show you an example, I'm just going to go to one of the ballots we've already unsealed. And here you can see this one has been unsealed. This was a secret ballot, not weighted in this case. But the important part is when I go into the results, first off, we do provide charts as well as a table format that can be downloaded. You'll notice that it's automatically redacted in this case. I don't have any other option because this was set up as a secret ballot. So I only see who voted, or I'm sorry, what the voting results were and not who voted for it. But then I also have separately the ability to see just who voted. So we do track those, and you can see the participation before unsealing in our system, so you can still know who has and hasn't voted. And then, as I mentioned, the benefit of having this ability is that I can also send out communications. So when you go to send out those invitations with those unique codes, I can tell it that I only want to target those who haven't voted yet. Again, some other systems like the secret keys don't allow this because they don't know who has and hasn't voted, whereas our system, you can see that. And just to walk you through that process, so when I receive that email as a resident, we do offer branding, so you can have your logo, color schemes to make the email look more authentic, the name of the email that it's coming from so that it looks like it's coming from your community, that kind of thing. And then here's my unique link and code. All it's going to do is going to ask me to take these last four. When I hit cast my vote, it's going to bring me to a page where it asks me to enter that last four. And then it'll bring me directly into the ballot to vote, where I will have a quick check that I'm the right person. Of course, this is stuff that we would do during the initial import to make sure that all the emails are tied to the correct people, but also lets them confirm it themselves. And it will default to sending them a receipt as well. So, right. So now I want to give you something tangible that you can take back to your next meeting with your board of directors. We call this the online voting security checklist. Whether you're evaluating your current process or a digital platform, these are the most important questions you need to ask to ensure your community is truly protected. And the first is, can your platform permanently disconnect voter identity from the ballot? Or is it just hidden in the user interface? Remember, hidden still leaves a trail in the database. Does your system or current process require voters to waive their right to anonymity before casting a ballot? If it does, that's a red flag for compliance. Could a database administrator or election admin reveal how an individual voted? A truly secret system makes this impossible because the data is disconnected the moment the residents cast their vote. Can you send participation reminders without accessing individual ballots? You should be able to nudge those who haven't participated without seeing how they voted or seeing how anyone else voted for that matter. And does your platform provide verifiable proof that ballots are anonymous? Trust is great, but when it comes to governance in your community, it's important to verify. So we'll be sending you this checklist along with the recording so you can share it with your boards and managers. And then one more poll here. So real quick, based on what you now know about secret ballots, how do you think it would help your community? What is the main benefit you want to take away from implementing a truly secret ballot? I'm just gonna open the polls up for that. Right, seeing some results coming in. Thank you, everyone, again. Yeah. Yeah, unsurprisingly, it looks like most of you answered all of the above, which of course I would understand, all of those are definitely concerns, but some people, definitely said that protecting the board from accusations of tampering would be a big deal, as well as legal peace of mind and compliance. So certainly understandable things to be concerned about. So again, we appreciate your participation in that. And real quick, before I jump over, I did just forget one thing to show you guys. So the setting involved with making a ballot secret in our system is an option. So we do support non-secret voting as well, but just to kind of go full circle here. So when you're creating a ballot in our system, Just going to go over here to create a ballot. So some things that it asks you, such as, the name of the ballot, a quick, summary, that kind of thing, who should be voting on it. But right here is where the secret ballot setting is. So if this isn't enabled, then, in that case, um, you can see who voted for what as an administrator. We as the software provider can also see that information as well. This is also where I would give the vote start and end date, those kind of things as well. So in summary, Ballot Bliss is built from the ground up to help you run fair and secure elections, support compliance, and increase engagement. Several of our clients have achieved quorum and increased participation of up to 80% while running a secure election. Voters receive unique personalized links to cast their ballot, and the system permanently disconnects the voter from their vote at the time of submission. Election admins can send reminders to residents who haven't participated yet without revealing who voted for what. And then once the election concludes, election admins can unseal the ballot at the meeting and view a full audit trail of actions and vote status. And you can share outcomes in a professional manner without compromising resident privacy. So just to show you guys that real quick. So the audit trail that shows up on a ballot, I believe I already showed this part, but just to confirm. So here's an example of that audit trail I was referring to. So it does log the unsealing of the ballot as well as just viewing of the results, that kind of thing. And then we also have this ballot summary report that can be pulled at the end of the ballot once it's closed, which just basically provides a PDF summary of the results. Again, in this case, a secret ballot, so it does not divulge who voted for what. It just shows the end results of said ballot. And of course, the end result of this should hopefully be happier residents, happier customers, having the additional option of being able to place their votes remotely and securely, as in the situation of someone who maybe doesn't live at their residence year round, makes this a powerful solution. And to prove, or not prove that, but to reinforce that, here's a more recent testimonial from a client that we have with First Service after we helped their association reach quorum for the first time since the community was created over 20 years ago. To help their community increase participation, they used the charts and Ballot Bliss to regularly show progress to the board. They sent daily reminders to their residents to vote, along with extending voting windows so that they can get additional residents to vote as well. And as a result, they were able to successfully achieve quorum on 9 out of 10 amendments, which is great. One of those just happened to be that they were using it to lower the percentage needed to reach quorum for future amendments. So it helped them not just for that individual ballot, but for future ballots as well. Here's another one from one of our clients that's been using our voting now for a few years. They actually had an 80% turnout on their last election due to the convenience of having it online. So another successful situation there. And one last poll, guys. Again, we thank you for all your participation. And as far as what your next steps are after this, we are curious, what you're looking at this for. So I'm just going to open up this last poll here and ask once again that you guys give us your answers. We appreciate your participation in this. All right. Like a lot of people are saying that they're planning to bring this information to their manager or their board, or that they're still gathering information, which we understand. So we appreciate you guys being here with us. Hopefully it was useful for you. And on that note, if you are interested in learning more or discussing Ballot Bliss further with a specialist, we do encourage you to schedule a discovery call. We'll also be sending each of you a recording of the webinar early next week with that checklist that I talked about. And another thing, before we move on to the Q&A part, I did just want to share a little token of appreciation for taking some time out of your day. We know that making a switch to a new system can be a big decision for any board or manager. And to make that first step a little bit easier, we are offering a 20% discount on your first election with Ballot Bliss. Whether you have an election, a budget vote, or a major amendment, you can use the promo code webinar20 and just make sure that you sign up before April 30th to claim it. And basically, you can use that ballot anytime from a year of purchase. So even if you have your election in Q4, if you lock it in now, then you can get some savings. Awesome. And on that note, we'll go ahead and check out the Q&A. So if anybody has questions that they didn't think of during the webinar, you can feel free to drop those in there now. All right. Let's see. So someone was asking if on the secret ballot, if you don't reach quorum, can we extend the voting end date? So in our system, it does give you the option to extend a voting end date. The only thing is to keep in mind is that with a secret ballot, you can't see the results until the ballot's been closed completely. So once you close it, it cannot be extended from there. So the idea would be that if there was a need to do that, but without seeing results yet, yes, you can extend that voting window. How quickly can I start using it? Okay, so it's fairly quick on setup. We accept, Excel format to bring in your resident data, first name, last name, email, address information. We work alongside you during that process. And actually, if you go to our website, ballotbliss.com/pricing, our pricing is available there. And the setup is included in our list price. So we can get you set up and trained as part of that cost. And then we also offer the service of building your ballot in our system for an additional cost if you wanted that service too. Okay, let's see. How truly secret are truly secret ballots? Yes, so again, we've made a great effort. Our dev team spent months, coming up with the framework to make this possible because we saw the gap in the industry with a lot of the competitors that claim to offer a secret system, but don't actually make it truly secret on the back end. Again, in states like Florida and California, this was actually a legal requirement in order for our system to be considered compliant. So we did take a great deal of time and effort and consideration to make sure that this would work in a way that was compliant with those states and with various governing documents and so forth. So good question. Someone asked about the difference between the Florida statutes for HOA versus condo. I will like to just say I'm not a legal advisor. I'm familiar with the statute because we work with a lot of associations in Florida. And my understanding is that the difference between the statutes only affects the website law, I believe, with requirement of having like a website. For the voting aspect of things, I'm not sure if there's a distinct difference between a condo and an HOA in terms of, secrecy on a ballot. I think they both require it to be considered, truly secret to meet the statute requirements. But I'll follow up with you after the webinar regardless, just to make sure that I'm giving proper answers on that as well. All right, got a couple more coming in here. Someone just asking kind of general, what would be the best guess on a setup time for a 254 unit not weighted community. Again, we offer, we can expedite things. I mean, we set up communities within a day that had like emergency, needs. So it's just a matter of how quickly we get the data from you, the resident data, and how quickly you're able to verify that it's clean before we import it into our system and so forth. We do have a test environment we use first, so we'll import your data into the test environment first so that we can make sure it comes into our system cleanly and that it's all accurate. And then once you give us the go ahead that it's good, we would move it over into our live environment and then train you. So um, that can happen within a few days if needed, but typically within a week or two is the normal setup time frame. Awesome. And then last question here, and then any others that come in after, we'll definitely circle back and reach out to you directly. But someone asked, what is the data required to set up an election? So with regard to the resident data, that's pretty straightforward. As I mentioned, first name, last name, email, address information at the bare minimum. We do support other means of voting, by the way. Texting is an option. So if you have text numbers, we do support text voting. And as far as I know, that does also comply with Florida statute because Florida just says electronic. It doesn't, specify what electronic has to be if that's email or not. So, but once the data is in there, setting up the ballot itself is pretty simple. I already kind of showed you guys an example. We can train you to do that yourself. Or again, for an additional fee, we can just do the building aspect of it. So if you provide us the paper copy of your last election or ballot and want us to set it up in that format, we can do that for you too. Perfect. And on that note, I appreciate everybody's time today. And again, if anybody had any last minute questions, we'll definitely be circling back to answer those directly to you guys. But thanks again, and hopefully everybody has a great rest of their week. Take care.